Hi and hello to all our math wizards out there. Welcome to our week 2 of our quarter 3 lessons for mathematics grade 5. For this week, we're going to continue learning more about bar graphs and line graphs. But for this week, we're going to analyze and interpret data using double bar graphs. So now let's go to our first page. So let's have our learning targets. So first is to construct double bar graphs. 2 is to interpret data presented in a double bar graph. 3. Draw conclusions or make inferences based on data presented in double bar graph. And solve problems using data presented in a double bar graph. So for day 1, let's have our short and quick review. The table shows the number of turon sold in a canteen. Using the data presented on the table as your reference, answer the question or questions that follows. So please take note of the days, the number of turon sold for male customer and for our female customer. So how many turon were sold on Tuesday? So we add up, okay, sold those who were sold to male and female customers. So the total is 25. Then on what day did the canteen sold the most turon? So it's Thursday. How much more turon did the female customer bought than the male customers on Wednesday? So it's 8. And who among the customers bought more turon on Monday? So male customer. And how many turon were sold in all 5 days? So 148 turons. Okay, so in our review, we tried to make sense of the data presented in the table purely by the values it reflects. So as we can notice, we are comparing similar data from 2 different groups. In our case, we are comparing the amount of turon sold between 2 different customers, so male and female. So ang pinagbatayan naman natin ngayon ay kung gaano kadami, no? Yung pinagkumpara naman natin ay yung customer naman na pinagbentahan ng turon, okay, na kung saan yung mga bilang ng lalaki na bumili ng turon at yung bilang ng mga babae. So for the whole 5 days of the week. Now, can you think of other instances that you encountered that compares the same data from different groups? Presenting this data in purely tabular form makes it plain and simple. We can make sense of this data more effectively by presenting it through a graph. So kapag nilagay natin siya sa isang table, although nakapresent naman siya ng maayos, but then sabi nga dito napaka-plain at napaka-simple. And hindi siya agad-agad natin. Although makikita natin agad, makakapagbigay tayo right away ng mga answers, no, for some questions katulad ng sinagutan natin kanina. Pero sabi nga, we can make sense of this data more effectively by presenting it through a graph. Okay, so before we proceed to our next lesson, let us first revisit some of the concepts you already learned previously in how to present the data in a graphical method. So one way to present a given data is through a bar graph. Okay, so again, what is a bar graph? It is a diagram that uses bars to help compare data from different groups. Okay, a bar graph has various components. So we have the graph title. So this is written on top of the graph. This gives an overview on what type of information is presented in the graph. So makikita natin dito tungkol saan ba yung graph na inyong nakikita or yung pinresent sa inyo. Next, we have the axes and labels. So a bar graph has 2 different axes. Okay, so group data axis. This axis displays what type of data is being presented. Days, grade levels, genders, and a whole lot more. And frequency data axis, it represents an amount of frequency of data. Okay, and of course, we have the legend. The legend indicates the type of data represented by each bar. Makikita natin dito sa legend, yung kulay, ano ba yung nare-represent ng bar na color orange, bar na color green, bar na color blue, bar na color red, and kung ano-ano pa. Okay, so ay mas madali nating naunawaan yung ating bar graph with the help of the legend. Okay, so now how do we create a double bar graph? So we are going to discuss this on our subtopic 1, which is about creating double bar graphs. So a double bar graph is a kind of bar graph specifically used to illustrate similar data from 2 different groups. This bar and bar graphs in general is effective in showing results that are not continuous such as surveys, inventories, and others. From the graph earlier, let us construct a double bar graph using those data by following this steps. So, meron tayong steps na sinusunod. So, first is write the title of the graph. In our graph, the title is number of turon sold at the canteen. Number 2, draw the horizontal and vertical axis. Then label the horizontal axis. For our graph, label it days of the week. So, yun yung ating nasa horizontal axis. So, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. So, yun yung nakalagay dun sa label. Number 4, write the days given on our table along the horizontal axis. Now, number 5, label the vertical axis. Doon naman tayo sa patayo, sa gilid. In our graph, label it number of turon. Decide on a scale of the range of numbers that you will use in the graph. In our graph, since the frequency are close together, we can start the range from 0 until 30 with an interval of 5. So that means this 0, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, and 30. So yun po yung nandoon sa ating left side. So vertical, which means yung nakapatayo. And then yung horizontal, nandun sa ilalim, nandun nakalagay yung days of the week. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Okay, so decide on a color of the bar that would represent the two groups being compared. In our case, let us use blue for male customers and red for female customers. Now draw the bars to represent the data. In our graph, since we have two data for each day, we will draw them side by side. So, sa example, for Monday, okay, since may customer K na male, may customer na female, magkatabi na sila doon sa Monday. Then, ganun din sa Tuesday until Friday. Next, indicate the legend for each bar on the bottom of the graph. So, ito na yung ating nabuo na double bar graph. So, we have the title, number of turon sold at the canteen. Okay, the vertical axis. Okay, yan yung range ng turon na nabenta. And then, yung horizontal naman is days of the weeks. We have the legend, blue for male, and the red bar represents the female customers. Okay, so now, on a clean paper, construct a double bar graph based on the data presented on the following table. So this table shows the number of books borrowed in a week at the school library. So again, we have two, okay, dalawa na magkasabay. Okay, that is the number of books borrowed by male and female. So, ilan ba yung books na nahiram ng male, for example, male readers on Monday and female readers on Monday? So, gaano ba kadami yung na-cater nila ng borrowers ng book? Now, kinlassify lang nila, hiniwalay lang nila, okay, or kinategorize lang nila into male and female. Okay, so you have here the rubric for rating the graph. So you can follow this one so that you can get, okay, a high grade or high score, okay, by following this rubric. Okay, so we have here, of course, the sample of the answer itself for the number of books borrowed in a week. So, ang legend nila, they use green for male and blue for female. So the title, number of books borrowed in a week at the school library. Okay, and so in the horizontal axis nila is the number of books borrowed, and then on the vertical axis is the number of books borrowed, and then for the horizontal one, okay, the one that you see at the bottom part is the days of the week. So Monday till Friday. Okay, so for day 2, we have lesson activity. So okay, you're going to refer to your activity sheet 1. You're going to conduct a survey on your class about the following topics. Now, results should be segregated based on sex, okay, by male or female. And then after you have the data, present it using the double bar graph. So, you can choose, okay, for topic 1, favorite merienda, okay, kakanin, fast food, or bread and pastry. Topic 2, favorite subject, okay, is it languages, okay, math, sci, or social sciences. Topic 3, favorite hobby, indoor activities, outdoor activities, and both. And topic 4, favorite weather, is it sunny, windy, or rainy? And then you're going to come up with, okay, you can come up first with a table, simple table, and then you can craft, okay, and construct a double bar graph. Pwede naman na hindi ka na gumawa ng simple table and proceed directly in creating a double bar graph. Okay, so for day 3, we have our subtopic 2, which is interpreting, making conclusions and inferences, and solving problems using data from double bar graph. So previously, we already learned how to construct a double bar graph. We also learned that double bar graphs are used to illustrate and compare similar data from two different groups. Since double bar graphs represents data, it tells us a lot of information. So now let us first construct a double bar graph out of this data. So this table shows the number of active COVID-19 cases in 5 hospitals as of June 1, 2024. So it means hindi pa rin talaga nawawala si COVID, nandyan pa rin siya. Pero controlled na, no? Controlled na siya, unlike during the pandemic talaga na gulantang talaga ang buong mundo, no? But now, meron pa rin pero hindi na kasing dami. Like before na talagang halos sarado lahat. Ay, hindi naman sarado pero halos puno lahat ang ating hospitals. Now, so you have here the name of hospital. We have the Santa Rita Hospital, St. Carlos Hospital, St. Jude, St. Raphael, and St. Magdalene Hospital. Number of active COVID-19 patients. So two groups, children and adults. So from the data presented in the table, we can construct this double bar graph. So, okay, the title of the graph, number of active COVID-19 cases. On your vertical axis, you have the number of active COVID-19 cases, which ranges from 0 to 80 with an interval of 20. On the horizontal axis, you have the name of the hospital. So St. Rita, St. Carlos, St. Jude, St. Raphael, and St. Magdalene. Okay, now from this double bar graph, what information can we get? So we can derive various information from the graph, which includes the type of data presented in it, the number of cases recorded per hospital and as group, whether children or adults and others. Now let us further interpret and analyze the graph by answering the following questions. Okay, so kasi from the graph, no, makikita natin saan bang ospital mas marami ang cases nila, active cases ng children, saan bang ospital mas maraming cases ng adult, saan ospital pinakamababa ang kanilang number of COVID-19 patients, at anong ospital yung may pinakamaraming cases. Okay, so both for the children and adult. Now, okay, we have here, so which of the hospitals, ito yung ating mga, these are the questions that we need to answer. So which of the hospitals, okay, has the greatest number of adult patients with active COVID-19, and how about the least? Letter B, which of the following hospitals has more children with active COVID-19 compared to adults? C, which hospital has the greatest number of active COVID-19 cases? And how about the least? Of the 5 hospitals, what is the total number of children that has active COVID-19? Doon sa 5 ospital, gaano karami yung total number of children na may COVID-19? And overall, what information this graph convey? Okay, so now let's rationalize, okay? And let's analyze. So for letter A, okay, which of the hospitals has the greatest number of adult patients with active COVID-19? And how about the least? So based on the graph, the hospital with the greatest number of adult patients is St. Carlos Hospital. Okay, while the hospital with least, pinakakaunti, is St. Raphael Hospital. So to answer the question, we can easily compare the data by looking at the height of each bar. Syempre, yung pinakamataas, yun ang pinakamarami. And then yung pinakamababa, yun naman ang pinakakaunti. So mula doon sa nakita natin na pinresent na double bar graph, lumalabas na ang ospital na may pinakamaraming bilang ng matandang pasyente or hindi naman matanda, adult na pasyente, ay ang St. Carlos Hospital. Ang pinakamababa naman na may mga adult patient ay ang St. Raphael Hospital. For letter B, which of the following hospitals has more children with active COVID-19 compared to adults? Alin naman daw sa mga ospital ang may mas maraming pasyenteng bata o kabataan kaysa sa matatanda? Okay, so based on the graph, the only hospital where there are more cases among children compared to adults is St. Raphael Hospital. So we can easily see this by comparing the height of each bar. Okay, letter C, which hospital has the greatest number of active COVID-19 cases? And how about the least? So now, Dahil nga tinanong naman tayo tungkol sa pinakamataas na bilang ng active COVID-19 na kaso o yung kaso ng COVID-19, ibig sabihin kailangan nating makuha ang total number ng active cases sa bawat ospital. So para makuha ang total, anong kailangan natin gawin? Kailangan nating i-add, no, pagsamasamahin ang lahat ng bilang ng kaso ng COVID-19 sa mga bata at sa mga matatanda sa bawat ospital. So, kapag ginawa natin to, okay, ang magiging resulta at makikita natin na ang ospital na may pinakamaraming bilang na aktibong kaso ng COVID-19 ay ang St. Jude Hospital na may kabuuan na 105 na kung saan 50 sa mga ito ay mga bata at 55 naman ay matatanda na mga pasyente. Sa kabilang dako naman, ang ospital na may pinakamababa na bilang ng kaso ng COVID-19 ay ang St. Magdalene Hospital na mayroon lamang na 67 na cases. Wherein 32 sa mga ito ay bata at 35 naman ay mga matatanda. Okay, letter D. Of the 5 hospitals, what is the total number of children that has active COVID-19? Now, since naman ang tinatanong ay total number of children na mayroong active COVID-19 sa lahat ng ospital, ang gagawin lang natin ay pagsasama-samahin lang natin ang lahat ng kaso na active cases ng COVID-19 na mga bata yung pasyente sa bawat ospital. Pagsasama-samahin lang natin yon. In which, in total, there are 172 children with active COVID-19 in all 5 hospitals. Okay. Letter E, overall, what information does this graph convey? The graph conveys the number of active COVID-19 cases among all 5 hospitals that were identified based on the groups. So, children and adult. Hindi pa doon kasama kung ilan ba doon ang male or female. So, you can do another graph about that. Okay. This time, okay, now this graph below shows the comparison of inflation rates in the Philippines per month for the last half years of 2022 and 2023. Answer the questions that follow. So, favorite ice cream. Flavor of grade 5 pupils. Okay. So, we have here the questions. How many boys prefers chocolate ice cream? Okay, it's 95. How many more boys than girls like vanilla ice cream? It's 15. What flavor of ice cream is preferred by most grade 5 pupils? So it's Rocky Road. And the least preferred one is mango. Number 4, how many girls are there in grade 5 class? It's 350. And what is the information being conveyed by the graph? The favorite ice cream flavor of grade 5 pupils. Alright. Okay, so next we have your lesson activity. This is from your activity sheet number 2. Refer to the double bar graph below and answer the following questions. The prevalence of bullying by forms of bullying. So that is the title. Okay, for the vertical axis, we have the number of students, which ranges from 0 to 30 with an interval of 5. For the horizontal axis, we have the forms of bullying. Okay, covert or indirect. We have cyberbullying, we have physical bullying, and verbal bullying. So we have here, okay, the things that you need to answer. Okay, and of course, we got you also the answers. Okay, so for day 4, okay, it's all about your takeaways. Okay, from the discussion for this week. What is a double bar graph? What are the different parts of a bar graph? How do we create double bar graph? When do we use the double bar graphs? And your reflection on learning. And of course, how we can forget our formative assessment for this week. So construct a double bar graph with complete parts using the data. So number of birthday celebrants, okay, for the months of January to February, March to April, May to June, July to August, September to October, and November to December. So the two groups, you have the male and female. And of course, you have your questions. Okay, of course, I'm going to help you and give you the answer. Okay, so we have the answers to the question. Okay, and that's it for our um quarter 3 week 2, okay, lesson for your mathematics grade 5. So I hope I was able to help you with this lesson, with this topic. And of course, I would like also to say thank you for being with me, okay, throughout this video. So thank you so much and see you again next time. See you on week 3. Thank you and bye-bye.